Hi, my name is Thomas Hadaway, and the topic I chose to do for my presentation is product liability. What is product liability? Product liability refers to the liability of any or all parties along the chain of a manufacturer of any product for damage caused by that product. This can range all the way from the manufacturer of the component parts down to the retail store owner himself. So a company must be aware that a product of theirs can be accounted liable for all the steps of the process, from all the way from the top to the bottom. Products containing defects that cause harm to a consumer of the product or someone to whom the product was loaned or given to are also subject. So if I loan a buddy a product of mine and that defects on him, the company is still liable even though I, the person who purchased the product, wasn't the one it defected on. What products fall under product liability? Generally, the products that you would see fall under product liability are personal property, product liabilities such as intangibles such as gas, your pets, your real estate, and even writings have been found to be found product liable. The main ones you see nowadays are a lot of medical companies that do not put the right warnings on their labels or later found guilty of product liability. The basis for product liability. Product liability claims can be based on negligence, strict liability, or breach of warranty. And it's depending on the jurisdiction which the claim is based and depending on the defect. Negligence, as I said, is the medical companies not putting the right labels on their products or leaving stuff out. Strict liability, which is the liability to sue for the product, strict liability is basically saying, you have the right to show not what the defendant did wrong, just what the product itself did to cause harm and why. And the breach of warranty is if a product breaks down before the warranty gave in, or if it basically goes beyond anything of the warranty or causes harm. Types of product defects. There's three main types of product defects, and in any case regarding product liability, at least one of these should be able to be proven. And the first is design defects, manufacturing defects, and defects in marketing. Design defects. Design defects are permanent. They exist before the product is manufactured and can go unnoticed for some time. While the item might serve its purpose, while it can be unreasonably dangerous due to the design flaws. Companies may have recalls put into place, and they might even ignore those recalls to save them money. And this is happening a lot nowadays in cars. GM just recalled thousands of their cars due to design defects that weren't found until people had already had accidents. And this is the bad thing, is that some of these design defects that go unnoticed for companies can cause them harm in the long run because they have no idea. So their best option is to hopefully, which most companies do, is to recall the defected items. One famous example of a design flaw that went untreated was the 1979 Chevy Malibu. GM decided to put in a cheaper, unsafe gas tank into their Malibus, knowing that the gas tank itself could cause harm to a patron driving. The downfall for GM in this case was a verdict of $4.9 billion was awarded to victims involved in a wreck where they were hit from behind and the gas tank exploded. This is today the largest personal injury award to date. Manufacturing defects. Manufacturing defects occur during the construction or production of an item. Usually only a few of the products of the same type are flawed in this case, and they're flawed in the same exact way. But the bad thing about this is sometimes if a company doesn't notice the manufacturing downfall and lets it go unnoticed for a while, when they finally figure out that their products have been made with this defect, it could be thousands of products down the road that have already been put into the market. One example of this is the famous drug heparin, which is a blood thinning drug. The company Baxter International had to recall its entire supply due to contaminations of a specific ingredient that happened unknowingly, and when they found out, it was too late and the product's already been on the market. What happened was the blood thinning drug that was released with the defect caused many injuries and even deaths due to patients having to undergo heart surgery and dialysis. Marketing defects. Marketing defects take place in several forms. It can range from the negligence of a company who decides not to put something on their label because it might harm the sales of their product, or they might even just forget to put it on their label. And they also false advertise their products with guarantees that can't happen, or guarantees that if you try a product, you will become a certain way. And this can take place in, if a company brings out some kind of bicycle and says you'll be able to hop 20 feet on this bicycle, and a person goes out and tries it and ends up hurting themselves, that company can be held liable. One popular example of marketing defect was in the negligence of the labeling of the popular drug Vioxx. The manufacturer of the drugs, after they put it out, found that there were long-term effects from testing they had done, and they decided to leave it off the labels due to the product maybe not selling, and also due to the cost to recall all those products. This forced the company to pay millions in settlements down the road. Strict liability. Strict liability is one of the most important things involving product liability, and what it basically is strict liability is used because it gives the plaintiff the advantage to not show that the defendant did anything wrong, but that the product caused them harm and was defective before when it left the defendant's possession. So basically they can go into court and they need to show that, not necessarily that the owner of this product was being negligent or was any reasoning behind them doing it purposely, because most of the liability cases, the defendant isn't purposely doing this and didn't purposely want their product to hurt their customer. But if they can show that the product hurt the customer, and using one of the ways I explained earlier, they can still win the case without showing that the defendant had any liability at all. UCC and tort law. These are two of the main places you will find product liability. The law, there's not a law itself on it, but these are where you will find it, in the Uniform Commercial Code and in tort laws. The UCC itself deals with the most important product liability sections, which are the implied and express warranties of merchantability in the sales of goods. Liebig versus McDonald's. This is one of the most famous product liability cases, and today most people who have taken a general business law class, or almost any law class, will know about this case. And what happened is a customer went into McDonald's in 1994 and purchased a coffee, and she ended up spilling the coffee in her lap, and it caused third-degree burns on her thighs and part of her midsection. She ended up going to the hospital, and when she took this case to court, the main argument that helped her was that McDonald's was serving their coffee between 180 and 190 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 40 to 50 degrees more than the average of 140. She also argued that there was no label at the time on the McDonald's cups that showed how hot it was, or that you should be worried about getting burned if it drops on you. After the case, the plaintiff was awarded $2.7 million in damages and over $160,000 in medical bills. These are my citations, and thank you for listening.